Hey everybody, it's Mark Ruggiero here, Clark Commando 1983, and it's a little bit after midnight on April 14th, almost tax day here in America, 2024. Man, cancer's really delayed me. So this is Fireside Chat Part 3. Gonna do a cursory. I got asked by a few people, like, hey, Mark, you got great knowledge. Can you maybe do some of your thoughts on strategic level World War II games? So this will be a cursory, try to keep it under 20, 30 minutes the most. Thoughts on different World War II titles. For strategic level, I'm a huge fan of all war games, but I guess I must have a special place for strategic level. But I will play anything. So that's a war game. So that being said, if you like what I'm doing, please subscribe to my channel, please comment. It all helps keep me motivated in this difficult fight and personally. And I still owe all my subscribers a giveaway. Still giving it some thought. Man, I know I'm not gonna think about it forever, but I am gonna do a giveaway. Went over 1,000 subscribers a little while back, and I said 30 days, and well, it's been longer than 30 days. So that being said, no particular order on these. I'm not gonna like really delve into rules. I'm gonna delve into like what I like about each one. I've played pretty much every one that I'm gonna talk about. If I didn't, I will let you know. Okay. So first up, might as well do World in Flames. It's the map behind me on my magnetic wall. Had a game I was working on. I got fully clipped, sorted, ready to rock and roll set. But the guy that I was supposed to play hurt his back, and it's not going to happen anytime soon. So I'll be eventually putting something else up here on my magnetic wall. But World in Flames, great sandbox game. World War II, 39 to 45. Integrated Pacific and Europe. With Days of Decision, you can start it in 35, I believe. That's what I was working on this. I would say this. I think unfairly it gets nicknamed as Wallet in Flames, but honestly, it was really stable since 2001. And then about 2017 or 18, I think, is when the collector's edition came out. Came with a mounted map. I bought the paper map direct. I think they made about 50 sets of them. There might still be a couple that they have. Not sure, but need a paper set if you're going to magnetize it. But yeah, set 39 to 45, fully integrated Pacific, Europe, great production system. Russia's a little bit, I think, weak in the game compared to how they were historically, but it's a fun game. Theoretically, play balance is set at about 50-50, and so pretty much because you get to decide what you want to build and all that, it pretty much diverts from a historical set. Doesn't lock you in. None of these games lock you in, by the way. But World in Flames, definitely top tier. Played it for years, up until about 2009, 2010, mainly because of my job. I worked 60, 70 hours a week in the group I played with, that, by the way, still plays. I had to drop out of. So, do I recommend it? Yeah, there's classic. It's core level. You depending on what additions you add and optional rules you play with. It can include divisions. Basically, wide open game. So, anyways, don't know if that's helpful, but and that is what it is. I started my first strategic level game was Avalon Hill's Third Reich. I've done a few videos. You can go look on our. I did a little bit of some playing of it. It's more retro, hey, But my parents bought it for me when I was 12 years old. Probably absolutely did not play it right for at least 6 months, maybe a year. I don't know, quite a while. But, core level, well known to most people for its BRP, basic research point economic system. Honestly, I think it's pretty playable. I don't know that I would go back and spend more time with it, but it has some fans still, which is fine. Like I always like to say, enjoy your journey. It uses fleet points. So should have mentioned that World in Flames. You play with individual ships. So, um, but anyways, Avalon Hill Third Reich's classic. Standard map size. Rules wise, honestly, it's not too bad. Really fun. There's a fourth edition rules that clarifies some things that are available on Board Game Geek. But, decent playable game. Advanced Third Reich, Empire of the Sun. Didn't play much and never played Empire of the Sun. But Advanced Third Reich, played a couple games. Beautiful map. Another evolution of Third Reich, and came in with diplomacy rules, which worked pretty well. Research rules that worked. A little bit silly. My understanding is, and never played it enough, that you can actually get V1 rockets like in 1941. A little bit nuts, but still has a following. People like playing it. GMT's World at War is the next and what I call final evolution of the Third Reich system, fully integrated Pacific and Europe, core level, BRPs once again, economies were fixed. The U.S. is a monster, as it should be, economically. Has some individual ships and definitely evolved naval system with carriers and all kinds of good stuff. One of my favorite parts of the game is the research rules. What I also enjoy about World at War is that every decision has a trade-off, so there's no perfect strategy. If you decide I want to go do this with the country, you're not going to be able to do some other stuff down the road. Also, what I like about it, I don't think there's any perfect plans. I've taught 12 people how to play it, 10 are still playing. Some have even go to the World Board Gaming Championship, which up until my diagnosis in last year, I used to go to. So, but I really enjoy it. The designer's done some really great learn to play videos. Definitely a commitment of time. All these games, honestly, are some level of commitment to learn them. World at War, long rule book. Parts of it you don't need to look at until you use it, like Pearl Harbor. But I find it very enjoyable. Quarterly turns, 50 miles to the hex in Europe, 100 miles to the hex in the Pacific, which, by the way, is fairly standard. I think width is the same scale, approximately. And, of course, Third Reich is just Europe. But GMT games, World at War, they pretty much once a year release updates to the rules, but they're pretty much at this point clarifications. We'll say this for the rule book, it's long, but I've never had a question that's not answered in the rule book. So that's good, right? But it probably is one of my favorites. I enjoyed playing it, and I haven't played it since I've been sick, but definitely a good one. And I don't know if this is helpful, but I'm having fun doing it. So let's see. What else we got out there for strategic level World War II games? Let's switch gears a little bit. And we're going to go to Compass Games The War, 39 to 45. out of print. You can get it for a reasonable cost. The War of the Pacific is still in print. I've played the War of Europe a couple times. I want to play it again. It's a good mix of, I think Ed and God, I apologize that if you see this, I can't think of your last name off the top of my head. But the designer did a really good job of kind of mixing, like, oh, I've played Third Reich, I've played Advanced ETO, I've played World in Flames. And the war kind of mixes, I think, mechanics and different things from different pieces of that. All those games to kind of come up with his own style. There again, it's a core level game. It has an economic system. You pay for offensives and things, and there's technology and diplomacy, and there's some videos out there. All these games, I believe, have how to play videos on YouTube. Um, but good system. Absolute Victory from Compass Games. Out of print, but you can still find copies. My understanding is that was Global War from SPI, which I never played, which I'll talk a little bit about at the end of my video, towards the end. Lots of random events. Map gets a lot of very strategic. Germany's like 4 hexes across, maybe. It's the whole world. It gets a little bit of criticism for how ugly the map is, but the map is super functionable. No problem with, oh, you can move into this hex, you can't. It's been a little while since I played it, but pretty interesting naval and air system. And I'll say this, for all these games, the naval air is always the hardest part to learn, right? A lot of interactions, a lot of things happening. So I think it's kind of obvious why those are the toughest parts to learn. But Compass Games has a map of Antarctica, by the way, which I've never used. But actually, it's in my collection, will stay in my collection. My state will deal with it. Actually, all these games will stay in my collection. I won't sell unless I happen to have an extra. But had the random events in Absolute Victory, a lot of fun, all plausible, and some of them, it has a diplomacy system in it. Some of the random events are like, oh, roll a 12, then roll a 12 again. So some are not very likely, but was interesting. Played it with the guy Bob Medro, quite the World War II guy. You might remember him from old Avalon Hill days. He play tested Cross of Iron, Squad Leader. But anyways, I remember him telling me, because I played it with him, Absolute Victory from Compass Games, that literally everything that's in that random events, and I think there's like 2,000 possible random events, were all things that happened or could have happened. So anyways, interesting game. Recommend you give it a try if you're interested in that. GMT games. They have, oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm currently working on Unconditional Surrender. Very interesting design. It's just Europe. They never did get to a Pacific version, even though my understanding is the designer wants to eventually do one. It's army level. Very playable. Excuse me. There's a few replays out there. I'm currently working on a set. Going to be playing it next weekend. Knock on wood, I make it, of at GMT West at the warehouse. And what else? Oh, what's unique about it? It's got pretty basic but decent production system. It's army level. Leg armies have 8 movement points. Everything else in the game has 10. You activate one army at a time, and combat as part of your movement. You can do mobile assaults or an assault. But you might want to check out my Learn to Play videos that I've done on that, and you'll get a little bit better idea on it. Definitely playable, really enjoyable. I like it. I like all these, but I like Unconditional Surrender. It's got a couple different little elements. Naval is definitely abstracted out, and the air system, uh, very interesting. We're showing, oh my gosh, with sorties and stuff. But please check out my Learn to Play videos. Um, what's the other one? Supreme Commander from GMT. Yeah, that's it. That one's kind of like a Toller Krieg Light, which was a game from Decision Games, which I'll be talking about. There again has an abstract air and naval system. You mainly get to focus on pushing your panzers around, but it does have kind of interesting, simple technology system in it where you can research and develop stuff. By the way, when I say technology system, that's what I'm talking about. Has an interesting production system, really playable. I enjoy it. I actually have a blown up map of it on vinyl that I've used. Haven't played it in a few years. I'd like to get back to it, but it's a fun design. Consum World, the discussion forums, and I believe BGG, the developer, was pretty active answering questions and this and that. I don't know if he still is. Designed by Danny Holt. Let's see here. Of course, I talked about World at War, DMT. So now, honestly, like, and thank goodness I don't have to pick a favorite because I like all of these for different reasons. But probably my favorite, if I for a mix of playability and how much I've played it over the years, Decision Games came out with a game called Krieg in 1993. Worst rule book you ever wanted to see. Oh my God, it was horrible. I remember rules were in the examples of play, but in spite of that, I remember when it got released at Pacificon, and like spontaneously 3 or 4 games of it popped up, and what made it kind of really unique was it has an abstract air and naval system. There's plenty of videos out there on how to play and this and that, and I'm going to get to the more modern era of the game. But also, it was, I would say, what you would call card assisted, not card driven. The game's like monthly and bi-monthly turns. Yeah, January. Yeah, but it's like 8 turns a year, I think. So something like that, where the winter turns are bi-monthly. I should know this because I've played it a ton. Oh my gosh. But anyways, you have regular turns and seasonal turns, and you pick cards that control everything from political die rolls. It's basically how you represent your production, get new armies, get replacements. But you commit a season ahead of time. So you have an active card, and you commit to what your next card's going to be ahead of time without necessarily knowing what the results of your plans are going to be. But so that kind of made it pretty unique. And the way also, like I said, it abstracted out the Navy and stuff. So then a few years later, they came out with Toller Krieg. Went from Krieg to Toller Krieg. That had a module in it. Core game was the same, but added what was called Dice of Decision. And you could roll up an alternate history scenario for your game and it just covers you up to Europe at this point. The Central Powers won World War One, or Germany got a communist government. All kinds of crazy things could happen, but you could play it out in about 30, 40 minutes, generate a whole new scenario if you wanted. And you'd be able to tell pretty much like, this would not be fun to play, so I'll do another one. Or, this would be fun, let's do it. And then after that, a few years go by, I forgot how many, Axis Empires came out for Europe, and Dicensal for the Pacific. And there again, upgraded the quality of the components, incorporated errata, no dice of decision, um, but honestly fun, playable. And then this year, well, I guess technically 2023, I think, but they released Axis Empire's Deluxe Edition, which in one humongous box includes Toller Krieg, which is Europe, includes Dicenso, which is the Pacific, includes Dice of Decision, and also includes, and I can't think of the name, but expansion. If you want, instead of playing with the abstract fleet, you can introduce individual ships and production, which I want to do. Um, right now, I'm on my second 4-player game, so I don't have any how-to videos, but I have some updates videos I've done. There's lots of unboxings of it floating around. Retail on it's about 300, but I think you can get it for 250, 260 out there. I would highly recommend you grab a copy. You can solitaire. There's tons of scenarios. One map, two maps, Europe only. One and two map Pacific only. Combine the whole thing. It's honestly one of my favorite games. The components in the new edition are just top notch. Counters are great. Cards are poker style quality cards. And what else can I say? Just really great, great stuff. Um, Phenomenal game. Phenomenal. It's literally one of my favorites. World War II strategic level. Um, Also from Decision Games, Advanced European Theater Operations and Advanced Pacific Theater of Operations, which evolved from the original SPI European Theater of Operations, which evolved into TSR SPI expanded and updated ETO, which became Advanced ETO, and then they did a Pacific game. Probably that one is a fave too. I love the naval system in it. It's phenomenal. Um, it's been a while since I played, but the way you activate your units is phenomenal. Doesn't have a manpower rule, but I've seen games where Germany's deep inside the Caucasus and just looks crazy, like they're gonna run over everything. And at 45, the Allies are marching into Berlin. Uh, it's more expensive to replace than repair units. And eventually, the way the economic rules work, America just is a behemoth, as they should be. And eventually, uh, the Germans, the Axis, run out of manpower. Probably the biggest drawback is the rule book on that one. It's it's long, and the reason it's long is because they made the decision to fully put the same rule in its entirety wherever it's needed. Do I think it's worth playing? Yes. I have a blown up map of it. Played it a couple times. I really would like to get to it again. I think it's a lot of fun. It has you know, special rules for Ultra. It's got a neat little rule that takes 2 seconds or whatever, but we get to sneak a U-boat in the Scapa flow. So it has a lot of good historical flavor. Gives you some real reasons why you wanted to have Italy invade Greece. Um, but yeah, Decision Games Advanced ETO. Out of print, cost a small fortune. So you have to really be dedicated to the genre, I think, to pick it up. But hey, it's a gem in my opinion. Really neat air system. I like the air system quite a bit. where you get to fly missions, and it does have a little bit of a pain because there's interception, counter interceptions, counter interceptions, etc. But you can fight the Battle of Britain. You can do all kinds of stuff with it. It's yeah, I like it. I like them all. So who am I kidding? So let's see. Never played. I have never played SPI Global War. Currently, I'm selling off my collection because of my cancer, but I've been allowing myself to buy basically, it's not a 20, 30, but my rule is I got to sell at least 10 games before I can buy one. So I did pick up Global War. I don't know if I'll ever get to it. By the way, the production system for Global War is the grandfather or the for World in Flames, the production spiral. Um, but anyway, it looks like a neat game. Very strategic. Like I said, Compass Games Absolute Victory. My understanding is players that designed that were big fans of Global War. Um, so we'll see. Let's see. What else? Older games. That's about it. So here we are, 26 minutes. Really quick cursory look at strategic level World War II games. I don't know if that's what you were looking for. I was asked to do it. To do an in-depth is just, it's too much apples and oranges. They all cover World War II. They all at least do scenarios. They all do 39 to 45. But the way every designer approached it, it's just way, in my mind, two apples and oranges to compare one game to the next. They all have advantages, I think disadvantages, things you might like, things you won't like. Really quick, if you're just looking for playable, absolutely do Toller Krieg Ultimate Edition, uh, GMT Supreme Commander. Just make sure you get the updates and they actually stopped shipping it, but there are still copies floating around without the updates. But so just be careful if you get that one. Complexity wise, Advanced ETO and World in Flames, I think, are probably on the far side of that. World at War from GMT. But the reality is anything that doesn't abstract the air sea interactions is going to be a little bit complex. And like I said, these are all good choices. You're interested in World War II, strategic level, pick your poison. Do what I do, pick them all. I love the games. I love you guys so much. Um, Anyways, if you watch this till the end, thanks for joining me. Clark Commando 1983. I'm going to sign off. Maybe my next fireside chat, I'll do some other strategic games, or maybe I'll just talk about some Air Force stories or personal stuff. I don't know how often I'll do this. I think tonight I'm going to try to get another video done for my unconditional surrender. I've been really struggling. I've had it set up for 4 days now since chemo, and I haven't touched it. So I'm gonna start doing that. And those videos are gonna be kind of long because this is a campaign, and I gotta get some of it in. So, anyways, be well, take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye.